Guys, what's up? Shout out to my boss who's apparently watching my videos. Can't say anything too controversial now. Alright, welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk about insulating attic hatches. So this is more for like a homeowner or someone who's gonna buy a house, especially if you're not buying a new house. And if that's not you, maybe feel free to stick around, or else we'll see you in the next video. So let's just begin quickly by talking about R value and about heat flow, okay? Nature wants equilibrium, right? It wants stuff to be the same. So if it's 20 degrees outside, nature would have it so that it would be 20 degrees inside. So over time, if there's no mechanical systems, like your house is just shut off, the AC's off, the heat's off, over time, it'll be 20 degrees inside just like it's 20 degrees outside. It wants it to be the same everywhere. Like humidity levels would be the same, temperatures would be the same, levels of toxicity would be the same. It just wants it all to be the same, all right? So when we talk about insulation, what we're trying to do is we're trying to not make stuff the same. Well, there is no perfect system, so what insulation is doing is it's just slowing down how fast heat gets out of your house or gets into your house. So that measure of how much heat transfer is slowed down is called R values. So think of R like resistance. So the R value of this little notebook here might be like R1, and the R value of a thick piece of insulation like this. You guys can see how thick that is, okay? The R value of this might be like 3.5 or something, right? So in other words, this resists the transfer of heat more than this little notebook does, okay? It's got a different material, it's thicker, blah, blah, blah. So how do you get like really big R values? You get better materials, or you take this and you put a whole bunch of these on top of each other and you stack them up. So right now in Wisconsin, we're in climate zone 6. I think they're recommending R49 up in your attic, all right? So that's basically, they want a whole bunch of R value up there because that's where a lot of heat is lost in your house. And we are in a heating dominated climate here in Wisconsin. So that's what R value is, guys, all right? And you want to particularly have it up in your attic because, again, that's a great spot to lose heat. It's like when you're outside in the winter, you don't go out just with gloves on and a coat. The number one thing you want to have is you want to have a hat on your head, right? Because there's a ton of heat loss there. So a lot of you might not have your attic hatch insulated. And you're like, Steven, what's the big deal, right? It's only like a little spot in my attic of like 1,000 square feet or whatever, okay? Well, I did some reading on the Energy Vanguard blog by Allison, I want to say Bales, but I forget the person's last name. And they use 2 examples, and I trust this source. They say, let's say we had a 1,000 square foot attic, okay? And we had half of the attic insulated to R50, okay? And the other half of the attic was insulated to R10. What do you think the effective insulation value would be of the entire attic? How many people think R30, right? You just take the average, right? It's not R30. The effective R value of the entire attic is R17, okay? That's just to illustrate that not having equal insulation in your attic or having a spot that's really low has a big negative impact on the effective R value of the entire area. Let's say you had a 1,000 square foot attic, and you had the whole attic insulated to R38, okay, and then you had 1% of your attic hatch, which is, let's say it's 10 square feet, insulated to R0. In other words, there was no insulation on it. What would the effective R value of your attic be? And the blog writer says that the R value of the entire attic would be decreased by 27%. So take R38 times 0.27 and whatever that value is, that's what it's going to drop by. All right, guys, that is a huge impact just for having a 10 square foot part of your attic not insulated. That's a huge penalty. Huge. So, if you are in your house, you go up, you find your attic hatch, and if that thing is not insulated, you need to insulate it, okay? It's going to save you money. It's going to save you using less natural gas or, whatever your heating source is. It's going to be better on the environment. You should do it, okay? Now, in this video, I insulated my attic hatch, but I made some mistakes, okay? I had some extra foam board strips that were left around from the previous job I did of insulating my rim joist down in my basement. So I took those and I cut them down, and then I put them next to each other, and then I glued them with liquid nails onto the piece of plywood that would be my attic hatch. And after I did that, I had these little spaces that were between the boards, so I came back with spray foam, and I sprayed in the little channels that were between each of the pieces of foam board. Well, the spray foam got underneath the foam board, and it pushed the foam board off of the plywood, okay? Well, this is not good because the insulation has to be in contact, in physical contact with whatever it's insulating in order for it to be effective. So if I'm insulating this pen, my insulation cannot be right here. It can't be here. It's got to be touching it in physical contact, the whole thing. So I was going back there and like trying to scrape out some of this stuff, and then I had to re-glue it, and it was just junky, okay? So if your attic hatch is not insulated, you go to the home store, you buy some of that 2-inch thick foam board. It's like 25 bucks a sheet, okay? You figure out what the area is of your attic hatch. Then you subtract like, I don't know, an 1/8 or a 1/4 inch from all sides, right? Then whatever that measurement is, you cut squares of that size out from the foam board. So let's say you get, 3 cuts out of 1 sheet of the foam board. You take those 3 squares that you have, those 3 foam squares, you sandwich them together, and you put them and you glue them together with like liquid nails, okay, or some sort of adhesive. Once those things are all drying together, you take that foam sandwich and you glue it to the top of your piece of plywood that is your attic hatch. And you let that sit for a while. Maybe put some books on top of it to make sure it makes a nice good seal. Then you take that whole piece and go up and then put it up in your attic, or then put the attic hatch back. Okay, so now you have insulated your attic hatch. All right. So that's all I wanted to share with you in this video.